Good morning, legends.
Good morning.
We're ready to roll. We're going to hit the road. It's kind of cool here in Central Texas today. It's like 12 or 13 Celsius.
It actually got colder as the morning went on.
Let me get my machine ready for the road.
All right. Let's do it.
Turn this guy on. Everything's on.
There's the green light there for the power meter syncing with the speed sensor.
All right, here. Let me carry it so I can sync it and get some stats on it.
It should get lighter as the time is moved back in a little while. On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton. We took the long way into the woodlands, picked up Team RR, went out on Research Forest, 1488 West. It was a cool ride. We got a front that came in heavily on Friday evening. Right there was where we stopped the filming for a bit, and then went past Bobville. We left the group, went into the forest because they weren't going that far, and we took a roundabout route. We filmed some of our little excursions back there. I think you all will find interesting. We got out past 149 and then took Hidden Forest Road. We saw some of the guys that we used to ride with, Victor and them, on the way back into Montgomery. Ended up being a very long ride, much longer than we had planned. Whenever the weather is cool, we go further because we're really working on our base right now because it's kind of like off season per se. You don't want to do the same thing all year. So we'll kind of talk more about it during the narration. But I hope you all will enjoy the clips that we got for you. We ended up doing about 7 hours or so.
A couple more minutes. There was a guy that rode this a couple weeks ago that said he wanted to join us.
Cool.
Very patient young man, very strong rider. We called him by his wrong name the whole ride. How do you pronounce Hernan? Hernan?
Oh, that's the guy from Costa Rica.
We called him Vernon.
No, it's Hernan. It's you guys.
So nice about it, you know?
That's
Mark
the guy
talking about
that,
a guy we picked up.
on the day that we went on the gravel.
Oh,
The guy I was talking about from Costa Rica.
Yeah, we rode when I did the Sunday and Saturday combination retro
His
ride.
name. I made him spell his name because when he pronounces it, it does not sound like it's spelled. So I made him spell his name. That's how I got it. It's Hernan.
I felt so bad.
He's from Costa Rica.
He texted me when he got home with the proper spelling of his name, and I was like, oh, man,
Yeah.
this guy.
Yeah, when he pronounces it, it sounds like Ernie or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I had him spell it for me because he was like, I never
We
got
were
it.
talking about trying to take advantage of the wind as much as we could.
Well, going north, I don't know if you got that much.
We were discussing the
Going down
route here.
1488 to Jackson, and then once you hit Mount Moriah, start heading east. And it should be a lot of tailwind and side wind from there.
yeah, but it's going to
We got a front from the
Yeah,
north.
once you're going north, you're gonna.
But we'll get it out of the way first.
Friday
Yeah, Jackson's
afternoon, it came in swirling around. Pretty violent thunderstorm for like 10 or 15 minutes, and that was it.
Yeah, it's out of the wind a little bit.
Mount Moriah is also good,
Yep.
but then once we get on 1486,
Be a little windy till
Just a little bit, it's not
till
that long.
Voorhees.
and then Johnson, you talking about Johnson?
Johnson and Bailey Grove, if
Okay.
we go that way, should be.
That's a dog on Bailey Grove. I haven't seen him in a long time. He used to chase me all the time.
We ended up just riding with them up to 149,
I haven't seen him in a while.
and then we dropped the pace. Paul didn't want to go too hard at that point. He was still tight. When the weather changes like that, it takes a while for your body to adjust. And his leg was still tighter than he wanted to push at that point. So we just did our own thing. I didn't wear any leg warmers. I wish I had. I should have at least worn knee warmers, but I expected it to be a little warmer than it turned out to be. My torso was fine, but it wasn't too bad. It didn't warm up like the forecast.
Doing great.
A little bit chilly this morning, but
Yeah.
That's Lulo chatting with Paul
Yeah.
here. I'm ahead. That's 10 in front there.
Change of weather.
Do you guys ride during the week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Whenever we can. It's not,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I
I used to ride more during the week, but these days I just don't have time.
Yeah.
So when I heard this on the clip, I mean, I'm ahead, so I didn't know what they were talking
Yeah,
about.
that car.
He said that he used to ride during the week. He asked Paul if we ride during the week. Paul said, yeah, we ride when we can. And he said he used to ride, but he doesn't have time. I look at it this way. Your time is yours. The choices you make will enable you to do the things you really want to do. All we have is 24 hours every day. So you decide how you want to spend it. So to say you don't have time, I mean, you really don't want to ride. You know, I make time to do the things I want to do, and I think most people do. If you really want to do something, you'll make time. You'll give up that second home or whatever it is that's causing you to sell your time, and then invest the time in the things that give you the pleasure you want. So, you know, somebody say I don't have time to do something, I take it with a grain of salt. You don't really want to do it. You know, what's the point of having 5 houses when you're working all the time to pay for them? So yeah, Paul is right. We ride when we can. We make appointments with our bike, whether it's on the trainer or whatever. Even if it's an hour, we make appointments and we ride when we want to. We sell the other time that's available for other things, whether it's work or whatever side hustle you got. And then we make sure that we don't mess with our cycling time. That's why we don't mess around. You see, I'm up there because those guys chatted and chatted. When it was time to go, they were still messing around the parking lot. We just took off. I come to ride, not to sit around and chat. Right there, you see there are 2 riders coming across. One of them is Jerry. And consistent with a question that Robert Tengler, one of our channel members, asked on Strava, he said something I'm going to paraphrase. He said, what drives what group you ride with? You see Jerry up there, he's riding solo. He's not even going to ride with us. He's not riding with his group either. You will see Paul ask him in a little while. His answer will be, the group is either ahead of me or behind. He really didn't care where the group was. During the times of the year that you're backing off, you have to be real particular who you ride with and how hard you ride. Make sure it's consistent with your training plan. That's Jerry. Jerry's riding solo because this time of year, that's his plan. He's not going to hammer all year and be burned out by January.
What's up, Jerry? Good. How you been? Good. Where's the rest of the group? Where's the rest of the team? They're ahead of me or right behind me. Oh, okay.
You hear his answer? They're either ahead of me or right behind me. Jerry is doing his own thing today.
Okay.
So you have to pick a group or ride by yourself if the group does not meet your need. This time of year, we're not riding super fast. This is for just, especially October, you're kind of just staying loose, you know, unless you got an event that you're preparing for. This time of year, it's time to back off, smell the roses, take in the sights, drop the effort, still ride, but don't feel like you got to kill yourself. If you want to go a little faster, that's fine from time to time, but don't hook up with a group that's just driving like it's March and you're getting ready for something in June or July. So pick your groups wisely. That's how we choose who we ride with. So this time of year, we're doing our own thing. We're riding 6.5+ hours minimum. And so we start with these guys. They don't go as far and then we let them go. But most of the time we're sitting in. Even when I go a little hard on some efforts, they're short efforts and not that long. If I'm feeling good, I will just stretch my legs a little bit. And that's why Paul let us go last week. And you see he will let us go again today because we pick up a guy that they were talking about, Hernan. He's up the road on 1488. And he gets to the front and acts like this is the Tour de France. And really just does not have a clue how to ride with a group. You know, and everybody can do whatever they want, but you will see me tell Lulo to get on my wheel because he just takes off the front when he should have just taken the lead. There's a big difference, you know. So this time of year we're chilling, we're just building back up. Starting next month we'll start building back up, November. But October we're just staying loose. We're not training for anything in particular other than just riding the bike for the joy of cycling. So that's our plan. So we don't care what other people do when we come out here. We just ride with these guys for a little bit, break up the monotony, and then we do the rest. And that's pretty much what happened today. You will see that in the clips. We're approaching Egypt Lane up there. So Jerry does not stay with us. He lets us go and he does his own thing. That's Bob at the corner there, the blue. He was impatient because these guys kept wasting time in the parking lot instead of heading out. He was ready to go. It's hard to select your outfit this time of the year where we live. And so I could have used knee warmers. It wasn't that bad. So I made sure I kept my cadence high on this ride, but not strain my legs too much. It did not warm up much above 18 Celsius. You can see it's 9 Celsius. It's 3 degrees Celsius cooler than when we left where we live. Though we're heading north and it gets cooler. So as far as my upper body is, I'm dressed correctly. And then the next day I went on a ride after this ride on Sunday, and I had a cycling cap on just like on this ride, and I had to take it off because it was too warm. So down here, it changes from hour to hour, day to day. Winds here is blowing from the north. It's a northwesterly flow right now. As we approach the intersection, I go to the right to push the button. I don't know if you'll see me on film. In the corner there. And the light changed. There was no car behind us, so I wanted to make sure we didn't stand here for nothing. We're going across 2978, which is South Fishcreek.
Yep.
I told Paul that they need to hurry up and fix that intersection. It's been like that for almost 2 years now. They take these little contracts and make it a career.
Where's Jerry?
He turned.
I asked what Jerry was because Jerry turned. Jerry's doing his own
I
thing.
asked him, where's the team? He said it's either in front of me or behind me.
It's a puzzle. Yeah, that's what I talked about earlier. Jerry didn't care where the group was. He was doing his own thing.
Very long today.
So we ride with groups that meet our need at the specific time of year. There are a lot of groups that ride the same speed all year round. You need to be careful with that because you can get burned out. I mean, even professional racers need a downtime. They still ride, but they're not training for anything in particular. So you don't want to be on the rivet all year. It gets old. Then when it's time to go fast, you're sick of it. The way we ride when it's time to go fast is a lot of fun because we're not always hammering, as you will see. Well, you've seen our rides. We mix it up, and you will see more of it today. We don't just put our nose down all day long. We're chatting and we're enjoying the scenery. It's like an adventure. We're not trying to set any land speed records. We go fast when it's necessary or when we want to.
Yeah, Rafa always had the premium to everything. First attempt at shoes, man.
Yeah.
We're keeping it.
We're talking about our fit and how everything kind of feels right, you know.
All you gotta do is like, I hope you improve here, but I'm keeping the shoe.
So what I'm doing this winter is all the things I'm not using much, try to unload them.
Yep.
Park those dollars.
Yep.
For Black Friday.
We're approaching, this is Taminat Boulevard. We're approaching 1488.
Those are the evil.
We're west of 2978.
It's like, look
Fishcreek.
Is there air in there? It just feels so good.
I'm riding the Victoria Evos today, and they just feel great. And I was telling him that sometimes you wonder if it has enough air, because it just soaks up everything so well. They're not the longest lasting tire, but I don't really care. I want to enjoy them for as long as they do last. They put a lot of pleasure into riding, just like the Rene Hers and so forth. So other than tires that I use on the trainer and so forth, or for really rough surfaces, I'm going to focus on enjoying the experience of the high quality tires instead of worrying about how long they last. They last long enough. They're not any more prone to puncture or anything else, especially since I watch where I ride. I read the road. This is where we're meeting Hernan, the guy Mark and then we're talking about in the parking lot that we met on the road. He's from Costa Rica a few weeks back when we did that gravel ride, the section of road that had gravel. He's out here on 1488 already. He's at this intersection. We've seen him. He's left of this intersection waiting for us. He had called Mark while we're in the parking lot and told him where he was. You will see that the group picks up a pretty quick pace as we turn left here, and in about maybe 10 kilometers, Hernan takes the lead, but then just acts like he's racing and takes off the front. Well, I just held the same pace, and I suggested the guy in front of me here on the left, Lulu, I told him, just get on my wheel. So I wanted us to just ride up the climb, but people started coming around or whatever, but I didn't really care to lift my pace. I just held the same pace. And he really didn't go that far because we caught him by the time we got to the top. Paul decided to let us go ahead because he wasn't going to ride faster than he chose to. And then after we got on 149, I just rode with them for a while and then drifted back to Paul, and we took off and finished our ride. Hernan is the guy in the chartreuse. He's in front of Lulo right now. You'll see him in a bit. There are a lot of groups that if you do something different than what they want to do, they'll just let you stay off the front. And they'll continue to do what they had planned to do. This group is not that disciplined. So they'll chase anything. And then hour 3 they start struggling when it's time to get back home. So they don't know how to pace themselves, and that's fine. That's their thing. But I just try to let people know what the norms are. There are a lot of groups that will decide what they're going to do, and if they're disciplined, they'll stay with it. And if you do something faster than they do, you'll be riding alone. So this is the perfect group for people who don't need a lot of structure. Because here, anything goes. They ride their legs off and then crawl home. That's why we don't wait for them. So a lot of times when I'm coming back home and they're tired or whatever, I just go ahead and head home. Because if you don't pace yourself, I don't have to wait for you hour 3 or hour 4. We're doing almost 7 hours. That's why you'll see Paul stick to his plan and let us do what we want to do. You see where I am? That's the cleanest spot on the shoulder there. I don't ride where Sam is on the right. I don't know why he's there. He's catching a ton of wind. It's windy. I have dubbed this thing down to where you're just hearing a little bit of wind, but it is very windy. It's a lot windier than you hear here. In post-production, we reduce the wind noise so you're not just hearing wind. You can see now he's being left behind. He's looking for shelter. He shouldn't have been sitting out there. He was trying to talk to Lulo. Lulo was concerned about saving his energy, so he was in the draft. This is not the time to talk. We're moving into the wind, and you'll see my speed is all over the place. If you look at it, it's flipping around. We're not doing 40K. But on this particular road, I've noticed that the speedometer, when I'm using the speed sensor, something interferes with it. Could be the microwave signals from all the businesses here, or the high tension wires nearby, but it's just a few kilometers on here where the speed just is all over the place. We're doing probably about 30 to 32K, and it's flipping all over. In a little while it'll settle once we get a little further out of town. But every time I come out here, I notice that. I'm only using the speed sensor because I'm tracking power on this ride. My solo rides, when I come out, I don't use the power meter, so I don't have the speed sensor. It's not an issue because I'm using GPS to calculate my speed. But we're moving now probably about 37K, which is about 21 to 23 miles an hour thereabout. That's what we're doing. You can see the speedometers flipping around. It will settle after a while. That's Hernan in the chartreuse up there in front of Lulo, and he's kind of new to the group. He's ridden with them maybe a couple of times, if that. So I don't know if he was trying to impress anybody or whatever, but he just went really hard. Like started at 40K going up the hill, and that's not sustainable. So I'm not gonna waste my energy. If we're sprinting or doing something fine that's different, if I want to play, but we're just riding out, and on a cold morning like this, we want to keep the group together. So I rode a more sustainable pace and ended up just riding back up there. He had to slow down anyway. So you just have to use your head and decide what you want to do. And as long as you have your plan, you don't really worry too much about what happens in the group. There's nothing wrong with what he did, but it depends on what group you're with and how it's going to come across. So just keep that in mind. Get to know your group. This is the perfect group where anything goes. You can do whatever you want. Nobody cares. These guys will chase anything. So it's not a problem for this group. But there are some groups that will frown on that. And then if you're not of that ilk, then you don't ride with that group. Find another group. I don't like a lot of structure. I'm more concerned about safety in the group. I don't like to ride with reckless riders. Not so much regarding just within the group, but the other road users. I don't like riders that take chances and make the group look like they're just ruthless. I don't like that. And this group is very, very good about watching, the traffic rules. But every group has that one uncle that should be in the shed, if you know what I mean. You're just gonna have to rein them in. Yeah, speedometer's settling now. We're doing about 30 to 32 kilometers an hour, so 20 to 22 thereabouts what we're doing. I'm looking back for traffic because I see a lot of crap, so I moved to the right because cars are coming. There was no room to use the road. Letting these guys know. It was significant enough. I think it must have been roadkill. You don't want to ride over that stuff. It's like smelly. If they have bones or whatever, you don't want to have a puncture. Nobody wants to change a stinky tire. So avoid those. Avoid the roadkill. I don't roll over even a paper bag because since I don't know what's in it, I don't roll over it. I want to see what I'm rolling over. As a result, it reduces the amount of puncture that you will have. It just makes things more predictable. It's very windy. The wind's blowing in our face and from the right, northwesterly, and it's cold. See, 8 Celsius. That's like 47, something like that. 48 Fahrenheit. So the effort we put into working on the dubbing over time has finally gotten the wind noise to where I really like. You can still hear the wind, but it's not overpowering. So everything's coming together as far as just the investment in technology to keep these films at a high quality level. The speedometer has settled finally. It's still flipping a little bit, but yeah, 35, that's about right. So 22, 23 miles per hour is kind of what we're doing. This area here that must have a lot of just microwave interference, because I never see the speedometer behave anywhere else like that. I'm in a 53-19 ratio. The guy on the right, I don't know if this is where he lets us go. This guy we're passing here, he just needs to get more Ks in. As you ride more and more, you get fitter. He needs to get a plan where he can drop some weight. He'll be a lot faster, be a lot fitter. It takes some time. It takes time to put on weight. It takes time to lose it. It's really a lifestyle change. You just change your lifestyle and start living that way, and things will just settle over time. That's how we get there. We change our lifestyle. Like Lulu said, he doesn't have time to ride during the week. What does that mean? Who took your time away? You got to reevaluate what you want to do with your time. It's your time. I'm putting a gel in because we're almost an hour and 3/4 into our ride from when we started. I start out with a gel, so it's time to, once you get to know the frequency of when you need stuff, and it just comes with experience. But it's suggested that at least once every 30 minutes when you're riding hard. Well, this is not hard, so for me, once every hour or so, I throw something in there, putting the trash in my pocket. You should be able to do that while riding. You shouldn't have to stop to eat. You see somebody hit that. The very thing I was pointing out, that's a big piece of obstruction there. That's why I took the lane. I checked for traffic first to make sure nobody hit that. It's a piece of a car. So there must have been a wreck or something, and they don't always clean them up very well. You don't want to roll over anything like that. It can cut your tire. Because it's cold, I'm keeping my cadence high. This is our first very cold ride, so it takes a while for you to adapt. Paul is still tight. He ends up telling me, after we hook up on the highway, when we let the group go, he said his legs are just feeling still tight. Sometimes it takes longer to warm up in cold weather. Everybody's different, so you got to find out what you need. There are some days when it's not very, very cold. If I cover my legs, they tighten up. So I'm very particular about when I actually cover my legs. It needs to be below 50 or below. Let's say 65 is the gauge, but it varies based on the direction of the wind and whether it's a warm 65 or a cold 65. And if it's not going to warm up much during that ride, then I'll cover my legs. Because I don't like to cover my legs and then it gets warm. Then I pretty much have to take things off and stick them in my jersey pocket because I don't like my legs to overheat. So I err on the side of, if it's 10 Celsius or higher, and it's not going to be much colder. I'll just leave my legs because they're doing the work, and just cover my torso and my head and my hands. My hands were a little nippy this time on the ride. I have my warmer regular gloves on, but I expected it to rise above 65, which is 18 Celsius, to like 20 Celsius, 70 degrees. It never got there. So the forecast was off. And sometimes not much you can do about it, just do the best you can. But within a few hours, it was a lot more comfortable. So Mike pulled off. He's at the back, and then Mark is pulling now as we approach Mount Moriah. We're doing about 23 thereabouts. A lot of these guys cannot resist the urge to go hard when the road goes up, but then they end up paying the price later in the ride. So you need to make sure you're pacing your effort. You can do it by feel. I like to do it by feel. You can tell when you're really going too hard to something that's not very sustainable. All of that will come as you ride more. You will learn. Sometimes in an unfortunate way. I mean, you hit the wall and you realize, okay, I overdid it. That's why I always carry more food or / nutrition than I think I need. I'd much rather come home with something in my pocket than run out. That was a little bump. We went over about 2%. Now we're going a slight downhill here before we get to the overpass that we refer to as Mount Moriah. Paul and I like this route, especially after we leave the group. We hit a bunch of 7%ers, 5%ers. We filmed some of those, and we climbed about 3,300 feet on this ride, Paul and I. So we basically sought out climbs, and that is influenced by the direction of the route you take. We pass a rider here. She's riding solo. I'm staying pretty much on that white line as much as possible because it's always clean. And I'm staying a little to the left so I can see around those guys just in case there's a surprise debris in my path. You see I'm doing over 100 RPMs. You have to work your way up. If you just start out spinning and you're not used to it, spinning a high cadence, you can go anaerobic easily. You have to condition your body to be able to tolerate that. A high cadence causes your heart rate to rise up, especially when you're not fit. This is why Mark pulls off. Then Hernan asks him about the route. So he tells him, and I don't know if he wants to show up, he takes off, lifts the pace. And Lulo can't even stay on his wheel. So I ride up a little bit and tell Lulo to get on my wheel. And I just decide to hold a more sustainable pace that will keep the group together. Because I realized by the time we hit the grades up there, he will slow down. That's Abby coming around like somebody needed to be pulled up there. They're not paying attention, and a lot of these guys ride a lot, but they don't understand the etiquette of cycling. So they have no idea what I'm doing up there. Yeah, I can go hard, but then I would just ride away from everybody. Big deal. That's not why I went to the parking lot. So I keep it around 21, 22 thereabouts. When the road goes up, I will let it drop to like 18 to 20. The funny thing when I do this, they compliment me, but they don't do the same thing. Like on Sunday, I rode with them a little bit, and they were telling me, "Oh, thanks for keeping us steady on that climb." They always say that, but they themselves never do it. So I'm holding a steady pace. The guys are not that far ahead. Then Tim comes around and he's spinning. I just slip on his wheel because that's a free ride. He's not going that fast. He's spinning a little gear. I don't like to spin a little gear unless it's moving me forward. You know what I mean? If you're just spinning and staying in place, you're wasting energy. All that movement. So we're keeping it. You see right there, that's like 18, 19 miles an hour, but that was my intended pace anyway. So that's why I stayed with them. Paul told Bob to come around because he wasn't going to lift his pace. And you look at my speed. The speed's already dropping. We're already crested the climb, but because they went so hard, they're resting. They're trying to coast. We're going downhill a little bit now. Just look at my speed. We're going downhill. You can see my cadence is all over the place. I spin for a bit, then I soft pedal. So we're not really riding that hard. So why break up the group? I like to go hard and stay and keep it fast if you're gonna do that. We're going downhill. You see that 42 kilometers downhill. We're at the curve there, probably turning right. Let me see if I can see us in the film. Yeah, we're on the right coming up now. Yeah. So they go too hard and then they take a break at the top. Whereas I like to just ride. If you're going to hold the pace, after the top, click, 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 shift up, keep going. You know, I don't like to carry a pace that forces me to catch my breath after I crest the hill. That's a bad way to train. You need to train your body to sustain the effort. However hard you want to go, you'll be able to sustain it for a bit longer than just going over a climb. Especially a short one like that. And that's what happens when you get on a long climb. You don't know how to pace yourself. So I edited for time here. I turn back for Paul. I'm on the left there. I make a U-turn here. Want to make sure he was okay. And so the light changes. That guy runs the light right there. The car blows ahead. That was stupid. Those guys can wait for you. You don't need to do that. That's just dumb. So what we do here is we go to the right. This place is not that busy. You know, we go to the right and do a U-turn. There's nothing coming. But the way he went across the intersection when there was a car taking the green light, which we didn't have. I'm telling them to go. They keep looking behind. Go. You're right there. So he risked his life to do what? These guys are right here. Now he's standing at the back. So you need to make better decisions than what you just saw. There's no point in doing that. If the group doesn't wait for you, let them go. Don't risk your life just to stay with a group. Not worth it. And these guys always wait. I mean, they look for excuses to stop. So I don't know why he was doing that. I had to tell them to go. We were right there. So in a little while, Paul will let us go again because Hernan sits at the front and he's going really hard. Watch the speeds. We'll be doing almost up to 25 miles an hour and we're going into a headwind here because we're going north. That's where the wind is coming from. It's not that hard because I sit really close and I'm in zone 2. But this was he was going a lot harder, and what happens is this road is up and down. So if you end up, every time the road goes up, you got to put more force in there. So if you watch my watts, right now it's in the 200s. My FTP is like around 300 thereabouts. So this is like an endurance pace. And you can see it's fluctuating. Now we're going downhill, the power's dropping. But every time the road goes up, he was forcing the pace. So you'd have to go like 350 watts just to get over that hump, but you're in the pace line. So people are expending a lot more energy than they should have if he were to keep things smooth. And so Paul just decided, forget this, I'm gonna hold my pace. And then shortly after that, we let them go because it's like it was just too erratic. You see, I'm doing 400 watts. I mean, there's no reason to be riding that hard here like this. And then it backs off to less than 200. So it's those little bursts that will kill people's energy. And just because you're able to do these watts, what you want to do is think about the others in your group. If you're feeling good, sit at the front, keep the pace reasonable and stay there longer, you will get a good workout. You don't need to always be hammering everything, you know. Especially this time of year, you know, the times when people are trying to build, you know, that's the time to go long and steadier. You know, you can push a little bit on the climb, but I mean, look at it. We're doing 33 right now. It's going to pick up. It's going to keep going faster and faster. And after a while, Paul will be like, forget you guys. And that's what you need to do. You stick to your plan. I had a good spot in the pace line. I was fine, so I just stayed with them. My thing was, okay, I'm going to let them block the wind for me. I kept my cadence above 90, sometimes over 100. So right here, you look at the power, 459. Just for that little, that's a little grade there. It may say 1, it's more than that. And then the power backs. I think this is where Paul starts letting us go. Because every time the road went up, they were forcing the pace. Look at that, 300 and some watts. We're hammering here. We shouldn't be. Now I'm soft pedaling again. So Paul's like, forget this. He wants to hold a steadier pace. This is the time of year. That's our plan. So he lets the guys in the back know he waves. You can't see it on camera, but he waves them over. They're still sitting on him because everybody wants to be in the back. I don't get that. So he just let the gap open. After a while, you'll see them come around. I mean, it's 8 Celsius. We don't need to be riding this hard into the wind. We're doing 42 kilometers. Yeah, now they finally decide. Now look at the gap they got to close. What, were they asleep? And he told me when I waited back for him and we hooked up, he said, I tried to tell them to come around. They were just sitting there because nobody wants to come through and get to the front and take their cuts. Everyone wants to just sit in till there's a sprint sign. You know, so I went ahead and edited for time here because it took a little while before those guys told me that Paul had let us go. And once I found out, I came back around. So at this point here, he's coming up to me. I rode back to him. Once I saw him, I turned back around. They're not that far ahead because, like I told you, they waste a lot of energy and they don't really go. They don't make that much progress because they have to slow down. We can still see them when he gets to me. I just wanted to make sure he was okay.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just getting tight.
They're right at the light, so we let them go.
Now the light came on.
Legends, we're heading south. We let those guys go, and now we're going to go ahead, and we got the wind behind us for a bit, so we'll see what we can pick up over here.
All right.
Let's go.
We found this little cove. We found all these little, this is what we come out here for. We love these little roads. This one is called Forest Glen West, the westerly direction. This is Forest Glen. Look at this pasture on the left. When we saw it, Paul was like, we need to film this. So now, even though we've dropped our effort, the fact that we're riding here, look at the grade. This is 4%. That's what this is picking. I think it's like 5 or 6. We find these little coves that have 6, 7% climbs, and we ride them. That will make you strong. It's like you're doing weight training on the bike, especially in the winter. Muscular endurance work.
You guys don't seem to mind the cold. Remember in the winter?
Yeah.
He's talking about the horses. We're talking about the horses. With all the muscles on them. They eat a lot of, they eat plants and they have muscles. So we don't really need meat. You don't need meat to be strong. You need to feed yourselves with the right nutrition.
I did this crap one year. She took pumpkins and
Talking about Halloween.
corn.
Yeah.
Put it outside in front of the house.
Yeah.
The squirrels came, they ate everything and just left the husks.
Oh,
They ate
yeah.
all the
My
corn.
wife brought a harvest thing where she brought
That's what I thought.
pumpkins
They didn't even say
and
thank you.
corn and put them outside. That's what I'm telling Paul. The squirrels came and ate the corn and left the husks in the same position. I actually saw them sitting there eating. It was kind of funny. I don't celebrate Halloween. I don't understand it. I never want to.
Purple corn.
What little I've researched about it is it's a pagan holiday. There's no reason for them to celebrate that. I see people putting all these scary looking things in their yard, putting like tombstones in their yard and all that kind of stuff. It just seems to be kind of dark for supposedly fun for the kids. So I've told my kids that we don't celebrate Halloween. That's not a holiday. They want candy, I'll go to the store and buy them candy. I don't take them to other people's houses to get any candy. That's just not necessary. So I never picked up that holiday.
Yeah.
Didn't grow up with it, not interested in it. So no ghosts and goblins will be invited. Look how beautiful this is. So we use the highway, we find these little roads, and then come out here, you ride. And you rarely get passed by a car. Only the people that live out here come in these areas. Look at that. This is 4.6. It says 3 on the gradient, on the overlay. But it's 4.6, almost 5%. So in this direction, it's a nice work road. In this time of year, that's what you want to do. You build your strength. This is the kind of strength that lasts. Look how pretty that is. So that when you get to the front and you're riding hard, you can do that all day. So we ride, we're working, but we're talking. We're in zone 2. Bottom of zone 2 for me. But we're talking and getting a workout.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you. I said this is the direction to come because we've come the other way. We always mix it up. And one time Jerry told us which direction on 149 to go that is harder. So he does something similar. And so does Mo.
This is beautiful, man.
It's just pretty. I just love just getting out and I mean look how quiet it is. Got the wind dubbed down. You got the trees here blocking it, so we don't have that much wind here. It's like you're immersed. And where we're filming now, it's almost like they call it the cinematic scheme that we're using makes you feel like you're here in the film. We've made some tweaks that even more so pulls the viewer into the film. You know, Paul and I have been working on it for quite some time. You know, I'll do stuff and then discuss it with him and say, what do you think, and this and that. So a lot of these things we're trying, it's coming together nicely.
That battery definitely lasts longer though. You know, we filmed.
It's cold, so our battery was complaining.
In the cold, you know how the battery used to quit on us.
But
Yeah.
we've got that sorted too.
Nothing you got to it back here. Back to the wheel. Nice.
I chose to wear the Arrow jersey today because it was supposed to be a lot warmer than what it ended up being. It didn't.
These shoes just cradle my foot.
It didn't create any problems for me because I had a good base layer.
That's how good it is.
Yeah, I just feel my foot is just in there. Check this guy out.
If you notice my pedaling, I look like I'm scraping stuff off the bottom of my shoe. Look at all of that. They got pumpkins, all that stuff. They're really into that, and that's fine. It's just on the night of Halloween, we turn off the lights on our porch. So I don't have any candy to give anybody. And most of the people coming to knock your doors, they've lived there for years, and you've never met them. But on Halloween, they're comfortable coming to ring your doorbell. When most of the time, they don't even come to say hi. So you're a stranger as far as I'm concerned. Don't come ring my bell. I don't care if you live in the area. Because these people most of them don't know how to be neighbors. Everybody drives in, shuts the garage door, and sit there. So you never get to meet them, but then they want to come send their kids to come beg you for candy. Go to the store and buy your kids candy and save the time walking around. I just look at it differently because it's almost like if you're a Christian and you're celebrating a pagan holiday, that's kind of odd. It kind of goes against the thing, you know. That's the way I see it. That's my thing. But people claim they're just doing it for fun. Well, I have fun riding my bike. In other ways, you know, I do other things for fun. So I don't celebrate Halloween. I don't recognize it. That's just for the stores to sell people candy and all those weird looking outfits. So we're approaching 149, and this is like a Y, so I check right first.
Clear right. Car left, stopping.
And since it's a major highway, these guys are moving, so you don't want to, there's no point taking chances. When it's a doubt, you stop. I'm never in a hurry when I'm riding my bike, because I'm doing what I want to be doing. I'm not late for anything. I'm where I want to be.
Yep.
We're going south on 149 here. It's a beautiful highway. We're just showing off our Texas roads. Don't mess with Texas. We don't play. Look at these roads. Beautiful. This is going through the Sam Houston National Forest. We're on the outskirts of it. That's why you see all the trees. They're always going to be here because it's protected land. Nobody's going to be clearing it for any reason. They do a few controlled burns when it's really dry, but other than that, trees are here. So it's pretty. Even in the summer, it's a little cooler out here. So in the winter, it's very much colder than when you leave home. So we dress accordingly when we come up here. So right now it's 10C, where it should have been like close to 18. So the day changed, everything changed. And these roads, even though they look flat, look at the gradient, 4%. So you come out here, you don't need to kill yourself, you will work. That's how you should look on your bike. You should be stable. I mean, I can literally put on a jacket, take off a jacket, take off my jersey. I can do anything on the bike while it's moving in the right situation without a lot of wind. You should be able to do that. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to make changes to your outfit without stopping. There are times when you have to stop if it's very windy and you need to get that jacket on. Yeah, you don't want to be blown off track while you're trying to put something on. I did a video about hands-free riding that covers that. It's in the archives on the channel. It's almost 5% here. That's why I was telling him. I'm reading the gradient to him. I keep that on the display. And even that is a little bit of delay before it pops up, you know. You got to get into it before GPS gives you the elevation. But anywhere from 2 to 6% is what we encountered on 149. These roads, as busy as they appear, they go by people's homes. And so apparently some people have been complaining. So our Department of Public Safety, the Texas DPS, is out here today. And you'll see they get a victim further down the road. Because some people fly through here like it's a racetrack. And I think that residents have been complaining. Because, you know, DPS will patrol certain roads. This is not a major road. These are secondary roads. And so they'll only come out here if there's a problem and somebody's complaining, or during the holidays. This is another one of the 4 to 5%ers that we just went over. So in a little bit we'll see in the distance that somebody's pulled over and he's finishing writing a ticket. And one thing about Texas, I don't know about other cities, probably the same. When they stop you, you're really booking it. They don't stop you because you're going a few miles an hour over the speed limit. Here in the Houston area, my experience has been you got to be exceeding 15 miles an hour. I mean, you got to be going faster than everybody else to get noticed and stopped. They don't bother you if you're reasonable. So yeah, that's where he is right there. I think I put an arrow on there. He's writing a ticket. So we give him plenty of room because just as we approach, he's walking back and he tells us good morning. He's walking back to his patrol car. Right there. He says good morning to us. That's the Texas DPS, Department of Public Safety. And when they stop you, you're booking it. They don't stop you for little things. So you're probably doing 20, 25 over the speed limit. That's just a total disregard. That's what I was telling Paul here.
Yep.
I've been stopped when I used to drive, I call a little crazier, when I used to go to college. I was stopped and just given a warning, you know. I was about 7 over in an area, and the guy said, well, the average speed here is 35. It was like a 30. I was doing like 37, and he just wanted to check me out. And he said, the average speed is 35, so as long as you're in that range, we're not going to bother you, you know. So even though it was posted at 30, they let 35 go. This lady's filming. There's a lady in that vehicle filming us.
That one is filming.
Well, Paul noticed that. And she comes by in a little bit and greets us. Kind of cheers us on. And I think she might be a cyclist or something that's out getting footage.
Yep.
But what I was saying is that if you're driving reasonably, you're not going to get stopped. You don't need to do the exact speed limit. You need to go with the flow. There she is. She kind of called out to us as she went by.
Us, I guess. Yeah. On that stop sign.
They're just trying to keep everybody safe, including the drivers. Because if there were no speed limits, these people wouldn't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like not just being kept safe for drivers only, pedestrians. Everybody else, motorcyclists, everybody, all the road users, you know, the public. That's why they call it the Department of Public Safety. They're keeping the public safe, and we need them because if they weren't there, it'd be chaos.
We're moving like this with the lights and everything. It looks cool. Yeah. You really stand out. Look, we look bitch.
Yeah.
I gotta get you on film.
I told Paul I gotta get him on film because he's got this combination today where his helmet, his socks, and the jersey match.
Thumbnail, because sometimes I don't know what
there, ultramarine, then the jersey, and the blue socks. He got the Aso socks on.
Matching the jersey, then the helmet, ultramarine.
I told him, I said, man, there are no accidents.
No accidents. Got that word. Chance favors the prepared mind.
I love that phrase. Chance favors the prepared mind from the movie Under Siege 2. Dark Territory. Steven Seagal. It was the bad guy that used that phrase. I just love it. Chance favors the prepared mind.
Yeah.
He said, I was smarter than you when I worked for you guys. I was smarter than you before I worked for you guys. And I'm still smarter than you. He was a disgruntled government employee, ex-government employee. So if you haven't seen Under Siege 2 Dark Territory, check it out. You'll love it.
It's rumbles.
Action movie.
You gotta be picky. Yeah.
So this stretch of the area here is relatively flat here, but it rolls
It's cool. She was filming
up to like
us.
3%.
Plus she was on Osborne Road, so she's probably out looking for footage.
Yeah, I'm talking about a lady in the vehicle, you know, using Osborne Road. I think she's familiar with the area. She's got to be a cyclist. And because that Osborne Road is one you got to know where it goes to use. It's not a major road and it's choppy. I'm in the drops with the camera here. Look at the perspective. This is a nice view. Then I switch it over to my left hand And look at how it works from the drops. So that's another view.
So somebody must have complained about this particular area.
Yeah, we're talking about the officer on patrol because they don't come out here that much. Somebody complained. Probably there's a lot of motorcyclists that fly down this road on the weekend.
It's probably here for those motorcyclists.
Yeah, they come out here because the roads are quiet. There's no intersections. They get to open up their machines. But people live within 50 to 100 feet of this road, all along this road. People's homes are there. So that's why they keep the speeds down on this road. I think it's like 45 in certain stretches. They don't want these guys letting loose. This is Hidden Forest Road. That guy's coming to go left. I make sure he sees me before I take that turn. Because Paul told me to watch out, and I waved at him. You have to make sure you make eye contact with the driver in that situation. Otherwise, you can wait till he goes, and then you turn. Look at this road. Hidden Forest Road. They have invested in this road. This road used to be crappy. Look how pretty this is. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I said we came in town until we got to that neighborhood.
Yeah.
I mean, there are stretches of it that's still rough, but at least they've improved a good chunk of it. Look at this road. It's so smooth, it makes me look smooth.
Yeah, let me get them this way.
That's why we come out here. You just enjoy the road. I mean, who wants to ride in the city? That's boring. Stopping every 100 yards. That's Victor and them. Victor and Paul H. They used to ride with Team RR, but they're doing their own rides out of a different start point. And we saw them going north. It was kind of late in the morning to be heading north. They must have left later. The kick, see, 4%. That's what I'm talking about. You pick your terrain, you will get a workout. Because when I get home, I feel this ride in my legs. And you don't need to be killing yourself. Learn to ride the hill first. When it's time to go fast, you'll go fast.
These palms that you see in there,
Yeah.
they're springing up in my yard all over the place. I dug them up,
Yeah.
put them in the back where the yucca used to be.
Yeah.
That died. And it's coming up.
Talking about these little palms that are just popping up all over our yard, and I've been moving them around, you know, to pop up in inopportune spots.
I saw Neville in there.
Yeah, he's talking about one of the guys in the group. I told you I noticed him. Neville is in there. He's one of the guys riding. He's a British guy. Neville was the guy that had a flat
Yeah.
a few months back on 1488. Something cut his tire. But look at this road. I mean, who wouldn't want to ride on a road like this? It's quiet. You might get one or two cars maybe every 10, 15
They're
minutes.
riding together.
It's beautiful. This is in the National Forest. This Hidden Forest Road will take us to Mount Pleasant Road. And we'll take Mount Pleasant Road south. It's got a bunch of little climbs. It's a little choppier than this road. They haven't repaved it yet. So this is Mount Pleasant Road. We just left Hidden Forest Road. And right around that curve, you will see one of the first hills that one of the reasons we come out here. I think that one gets to like 6 or 7%. It's a little chewed up, but you know, we'll take it. Anything that keeps it from attracting a lot of traffic, it's fine with me. Look at that. I told Paul to get you can't really appreciate it. The camera is such a wide angle. But that's a nice little wall. So start your climbs under control. Climb the climbs in your area. Find the right gear to where you're not killing yourself, and just ride them and get the sensations. I stand mostly for this one, and that's really hard because you feel it in your upper thighs, the psoas muscle, all of them. They really work hard. You see my position. I'm walking the bike. You don't need to be thrashing. You still got to be smooth.
Man, that was a 7%.
That's 7%. Paul just said it was 7%. The overlay didn't show that. That's why I stood. It was so steep I did not want to downshift any further, so I used the strength in my upper body to get me over. This is our water stop we found that time. The signs are still there. We stopped by another time and the water was not on, so it's kind of odd. There's another climb. So back to back. There's 3 of them before we hit 1097. That's why we love coming in the forest. In all directions you will get climbs. So every time we come, we do something different. Different direction, different effort. We're always mixing it up. So it's never boring. So right here, the climb begins. It's like 5% right there. It's probably more. Now look at my watts. They're gonna go up and then go back. Well, it's going back down because it's leveling off here.
Well behaved.
That's the dog. I was pointing at a dog on the right. Paul said the dog was well behaved. I think this road goes to the right. I think it goes up again. There's so many of them here, so when you come in the forest, you gotta really pace yourself. Yeah, this is a long one. So when you're riding with groups and they start going hard early and you know you're doing something like this with the group, let them go. Just sit in the back, and wait till you get to a place like this. This is where the drafting doesn't matter. Everybody's got to work when the road goes up. You see the watts continue to climb. They'll probably go above 300. I'm trying to stay, I'm in zone 2. I'm staying right there. Right there. I pull away a little bit from Paul. I don't know what he's doing. Probably messing with the camera. I'm just keeping the effort the same. So 344. Yeah, that's about right. So between 300 to 400 watts is like moderate. So you got to find what you can sustain. So on a long climb, this is about what I'll be doing. Anywhere from 250 and up. If I'm climbing for miles on end, say like an hour, I'm not going to be going over 400 watts.
Yeah.
I'm soft pedaling because those cleaners on the left, the vultures are cleaning up. I didn't want to mess with them. Look at the pasture on the right. Beautiful lake. Somebody's ranch. I mean, this is where you should. This is the whole point of getting on the bike and going out. Who wants to sit in traffic and look at cars and breathe fumes? So that's why we head out this way. I met a guy new to the channel, and one of my subscribers now. He said he follows me on Strava. He said that he rides the trail, and he does like 75 miles. I'm like, 75 miles on the trail, man. I don't know how he does it, because I'll use some of our trails to get to roads. But there's people walking and doing other things. I wouldn't be riding it for 75 miles. You can't go fast enough to do anything. It's just too busy. So he's following me now, and I told him, well, look at our routes and see what we're doing and try to head out, He doesn't live too far out of the area. He's in Spring as well. So I'd much rather use the road than be on trails. It's too much to pay attention to on trails. On the roads, I'm watching pedestrians, dogs, and cars, and potholes and reading the road. That's enough to keep up with. You should be able to ride like this for hours on end without having to be moving around on your saddle. If you're not solid on your bike and comfortable, no saddle sores, you shouldn't have to use chamois cream unless you're riding in the wet. Even then, my chamois cream, I have to throw them out because they just sit there because I get samples and I don't use them. I don't need to use them. So if you're having to use chamois cream all the time, something's wrong with your setup. Chamois cream is not the norm. Because if you're moving around, that will cause the chafing, and that's why you need chamois cream. You should be sitting in the right spot on your saddle and have no need to chafe. Especially if you got decent quality shorts, because they're not all created equal. You can see my kit. There's no wind flapping anything, and the wind's here. It's blowing from the left. It didn't seem to turn into a tailwind. We're headed this way. We still had wind all over the place. But this aero jersey hugs your body like second skin.
Was daydreaming.
That's the way you want your kit to fit. And they're not uncomfortably tight. They're snug. Fit your body like a glove.
Yeah.
This is 1097. And we go ahead and switch from here. We stop filming here.
Woo! So those are some serious.
Yeah, you can turn it off. All right, legends, we found another cove. This is off of Southbound Boulevard. Look at this.
We're near Lake Conroe, but this is not Lake Conroe. This is called South Pine Lake. It's a little subdivision off of South Pine Boulevard. South Pine Boulevard is near Mill Route. Those of you who've been watching the film, look how pretty this is. It was Paul's idea to say, man, let's start filming because I had the camera off. And we come in here. I think I moved this around a bit much.
Hey, check him out. It's a
poodle. A poodle ran out there. I didn't film him very well. Most of the dogs here were kept in the yard.
Look at that squirrel. It's on the base of the tree. He's running around the tree. There's one up there.
There's a squirrel. You can't see him. He's sitting on the little knob.
Did you see that?
He's sitting on the knob where a branch used to be.
He's just sitting on the knob. Like the branch is missing.
He's sitting on the knob like he's floating on the tree.
The branch is missing, and so just the little knob. The squirrel's just sitting on the knob.
I like those squirrels. They're so busy.
I really wanted to
I don't know if you guys got it. The squirrels,
but, you know, think about
they're not very popular with my wife because they came and ate her harvest layout a few years ago. She was doing the Halloween pumpkin and put corn out. I talked about it earlier. And I saw the squirrel eating it. It sit there holding it in their hands. They ate it and put the husk back. I thought that was cool.
Because these are the kind of things that we
she bought purple corn. They didn't care what color it was. They just wanted to eat corn.
You have to basically pack him and take him with you. Whereas this thing is always with us on these adventures. That is so cool.
Look at this lake. Just beautiful, man. That's South Pine Lake.
This is like a lesson in your little home.
That's a cute house.
Yeah, the houses here were nice and cute. Just well kept up. Look at this one.
It's got it nicely stained.
Beautiful. I like stuff like that. It's quaint.
Oh, here we go. Another hill. 2%.
I think I end up filming my head unit here.
This is a little deceiving little guy. 3.9%. I'm going to film my
look at that. Where's the gray? Yeah, 5.4.
5.4%. 5.7. 6%.
It just jumps there in a hurry.
6.2. It just gets there in a hurry.
All the houses in here just very neat.
The poodle was excited to see us.
Quiet area.
They must not get a lot of brothers in here.
I was teasing that. I told Paul, I said the dogs must not get a lot of brothers in here.
Yeah.
The dogs are barking. They're barking because of the bikes. It's like they hear us before we get there. There's something about the movement of the bike or the chain or whatever frequency is sending out. Look at this. This lake is pretty.
Wow, this is pretty though.
It's a really cute house, man.
Right? That one, yeah.
That blue house. That's what
All
Paul's
the
talking
houses
about.
are very,
just
very
well
pretty.
kept up. Look at that quaint.
Nicely.
It's well kept.
Well kept up. Quiet little community.
Everybody's chilling. It's kind of a cold day. There aren't too many people outside. There are a few kids outside at the entrance.
Yeah, it's a cold day today because it says 56 right now. We're not gonna get to 70 today.
They claimed the forecast was 70. We never got close.
It's already noon. No way it's getting to 70. The wind's still coming from the north.
Just a slow kid.
When we're growing up, the sign that would say "slow men working" Then another sign which says slow children crossing. I said, oh, these slow children became slow men. And my brother was saying, no, that's not what they mean. That's really for the cars back home. Slow men working. So what are these slow children? What happened to the slow children? Oh, they became slow men.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I used to think that they sold the people in the catalogs, the models in the catalog. It's like $40 just for this person?
Yeah, let's check him out. he
Look at that dog down the road there.
Where you headed, boy? What's going on? You okay? He waited until we passed.
We waited until we passed, then he barked.
This is a little descent. So this side of the lake is uphill. Look at that hill back there. And look at this lake.
And that's a 7% hill in the distance there once you pass the lake. I love days like this. Look at this gray, no sunshine. You know, it's just cool. It's beautiful. Beautiful day. Every day is a fabulous day for a bike ride.
It's another lake over there.
Got a lot of lakes in the area. This is a 7% climb.
Okay, this one's 3.5 right here. Let's see. 5%. It just went from 3 to 5. Then 7. 7.3. That's where we started. That's a 7.3%.
So we did a little loop around the
It
lake.
still says 7 and 6.6. You come in here and do a little bit of a loop, get a good workout. Avoid that little dog on the end, you're good to go. So the other guys are hemmed in. South Pine Lake and Pine Lake Circle.
So at this point we're on Fishcreek.
27 miles an hour.
We got a bit of a cross tailwind somewhat, but mostly cross, really. We didn't have a perfect tailwind. We had to work. So I'm doing a track stand. You see it says 2 kilometers an hour. I'm just rolling the bike a little bit to the left there, waiting for this truck to pass. Paul's in the wrong gear. He said, yeah, he was hitting the wrong gear. That's a little bump right there. See 2% as you turn. These roads. You gotta be on your game. These roads don't play. So I checked to make sure he's ready to ride. So let's do this. Let's get home. We've been riding for 6 hours and 27 minutes. And now it's about 20 Celsius right in this area here. The sun is coming out. Look at that. It's just lovely. Everything warmed up nicely. I didn't think we were going to make it to 20 C. We're on Fishcreek. The wind's blowing from the left and slightly from behind, but mostly from the left.
Yeah, right.
I'm telling Paul to get on my right because the wind's blowing from the left. We didn't get a tailwind like we had hoped. It shifted on us. So now he's on my right, and so he's protected from the wind because we're going to lift the pace. The road goes up here, so it's 2%. Doing about 18 miles an hour, and then we start to lift it. So your ride does not have to be on the rivet all the time. Even if you're a person that competes, when it's time to race, you'll be able to do the whole race because you would have done these little intervals and so forth. Yeah. But when you're going out for a long day, you don't need to be on the rivet the entire ride. It's just not mentally or physically, it's just not necessary. There will be sections like this when you give it the stick. So don't worry about your average speed. If you're worried about that, when you're going hard, then do a lap and focus on that. But the rest of the time when you're enjoying the scenery, don't worry about it. I run the credits here, and then once they pass, you will see how we brought this ride into town. We don't crawl home. We ride like we just started. And this Fishcreek Road is excellent for really maintaining a good speed. There's 2 lanes. We take the right lane here. Paul's on my right, and we're moving. And it was so nice to finally get some sunshine. It took a whopping 6 hours before the sun came out. So you can see now, because the conditions are different, we're on a flat road. 244 watts is giving 42 kilometers an hour. So that's about 26, 27, about 26 miles an hour. That's why you have to focus on effort. I mean, I'm still in zone 2. Now it says 258 and so forth. You can't do it by speed. Now we hit 40 kilometers an hour as the watts go up. The wind's blowing from the left. You can hear it. You can see it rustling my middle pocket there. But look how the jersey hugs my body. I can feel the wind going around me when I wear these aero jerseys. So they really work. So invest in your fit, your kit, and your training, your engine. You know, but everything starts with making sure that you've got a bike that fits you. Get the right size bike. If you don't know, get a bike sizing done so you can invest in the proper frame. The frame is the foundation. And you start from there and get that bike to fit your body like it's supposed to. That's how we can ride all these hours in comfort. Because if your bike is not tuned to your body, everything from your wrist, your hand, you will just have aches all over the place, and you'll be chasing symptoms and never really being able to correct them. Just remember that. So we're approaching the Lake Creek Bridge here. And that wind is blowing like crazy. The road narrows here, so I'm not using most of the lane here. But I'm still trying to stay on the cleanest part because there's a lot of debris in certain parts of it. You can see the effort is the same, 240 something watts, zone 2, and we're doing 32, 33 kilometers an hour. That's why you can't train the speed, because the terrain has changed. This road is gradually going up. You see the bump in the distance. I'm threading the white line here because it's still clean, but there's a little bit of clean room to the right, so I'll ride that for a bit, just to allow these guys to pass a little easier. The road starts to go up here. I continue to downshift to keep the effort the same. Strictly about feel. Just riding the gear. Get 4%, 5%. It gets there in a hurry. So I hope you all got a chance to get some K's in. Keep the doctors fired.